All right, welcome to this lesson on how to boost mental energy and how to stop feeling tired all the time, which is a problem a lot of people have. Certainly, it's just part of being human that our batteries run out or our batteries seem to drain uh, throughout the day. And so, what I'd like to talk about is some specific things you can do. But before we get to those, is to understand the mechanism, to understand what's draining the mental battery, and also how can we even make it bigger, make it so that we have more natural energy in us. And this is a little counterintuitive because a lot of people for mental energy are taking supplements or caffeine, and certainly in the short run that can boost mental energy, but then there's typically a crash. It's said that in biology, there's no such thing as a free lunch. You can kind of borrow future energy, but these supplements or synthetic ways of boosting energy often aren't sustainable. And so, what we want to go for here is a mind that naturally has more energy, and this is related to both our mind and our body. You can't really separate the two. I think a valuable starting place is to look at the ancient traditions who, for centuries and millennia, have cultivated what's called vital energy, or there were many different names for it in different cultures, but they paid a lot of attention to this area, and it's often misunderstood or not well integrated into modern life, I think. So you might have heard of Qi. So that's kind of the Chinese word, and in yoga they call it prana. In Japan, I think it's called ki, ki. And even in Greece, the pneuma, pneuma, I believe. This could be a slightly different concept in these different cultures, but what they all seem to recognize is that there's a vital energy in us. And it's essentially our life force. It's this tangible kind of sensation, almost like a current in the body that animates us and makes us want to do things and seize the day. And we can feel when that gets drained. From a scientific standpoint, it's possible that this chi, this vital energy, relates to ion channels. And it's important to recognize that not just the cells in the brain, not just the neurons use electric currents to communicate, but all cells in the body are communicating with electricity. And this could be what we're feeling. In fact, the fascia that run throughout your body, this kind of supportive connecting tissue, is thought to be largely related to our subjective sense of like an embodied self, our interoception. And as you meditate more, as your practice goes deeper, you'll start to notice that there's a kind of subtle energy current. It's often a tangible tingling or vibration in the body. And that's what a lot of these systems like Qigong and yoga pranayama, it starts to tap in and manipulate that energy. So it's flowing differently in the body or flowing more easily, or you have more of it. And that impacts your state of mind. So that vital energy in the traditions, in the wisdom traditions, was thought to be kind of the source of our both mental and physical energy. Now, interestingly, what these traditions recognized is that our states of mind impact that vital energy. In other words, let's say you're worrying and regretting, and your mind is contracted around all sorts of anxious thoughts. That's going to use a lot of energy. A lot of resources are going to go into solving that problem in your mind. And it might even put you into a fight or flight state where your resources, your physical resources, are being mobilized as if there were a physical threat in front of you. It's possible to spend a lot of the day thinking about things that will never actually occur. And this is incredibly draining for the kind of internal battery. So this is probably the easiest or a great starting place for boosting mental energy is simply to notice the negative thoughts and worries that are draining the battery and start to replace them with positive thoughts like appreciation, gratitude, and joy, because these bring us into the moment, into the present moment, and use less resources towards predicting scenarios that won't actually happen. So we want to be in a positive state of mind. We want to be physically relaxed if possible. And third is to notice where our attention goes. There's this classic phrase in yoga where attention goes, energy flows, and life grows, right? And it's true from a biological perspective. We mobilize resources wherever our attention goes. Our brain starts essentially devoting more resources, more brain power to that thing and trying to figure out what it is. If it's an idea, we start thinking about it and then we might act upon it. We might physically engage with it. So, what I suggest in order to make sure that that energy is going in a healthy direction is what's called a mental diet. You can think about two categories. One is healthy information, and this is equivalent to like healthy natural foods, organic foods. And then the other is junk information. And this is the stuff that doesn't really benefit our lives. It's up to you personally what that would be. But a few things like are like clickbait, often not really worth it. Mindless gaming, commercials, gossipy media. These are things that use up a lot of our mental and physical resources just by paying attention to them. And the healthy inputs are things where they're actually often naturally energizing, like walking outside in nature or cooking for friends or maybe listening to an educational podcast, something kind of nurturing. Or there's an exercise called Yoga Nidra that you can learn on the FitMind app, or non-sleep deep rest, where you're just lying there but you're still aware. And this can be very recharging. So there are certain things that charge our internal batteries, and there's certain things that are draining. And simply by using your meta awareness to recognize which ones do I feel drained afterwards, and which ones do I feel more energy afterwards, or do I feel like that was a good use of my time and very scarce energy, which is really our scarcest resource. And then you'll know to continue doing those things. It's often just checking in after the exercise and seeing, okay, was this a good use of my time and energy? And noticing, and you can even make a kind of grocery list, like which of the draining activities do I want to cut out? Which of these are simply not worth it, or do I want to limit to a very small amount of time in my day? And that will naturally just increase your energy levels by removing what's draining them. Now, in terms of the 4 R's that we've been practicing in this course, I'll talk about how to apply these both in terms of your mental diet and also in terms of your thoughts, the first thing that we talked about. So, in terms of thoughts, we recognize thoughts that are toxic, that are junk thoughts. We release those by no longer feeding them. If it's just repeat worries about how we're going to get in trouble or somebody doesn't like us or the person that we're angry at, we release them by no longer feeding them attention, and then by relishing the third R in a positive state of mind and remaining with that positive state of mind as long as possible. Naturally, the mind will start to have more energy and vitality for whatever task is at hand, just because we're kind of taking away that junk that has been clogging it up. And then in terms of the mental diet, on a macro level, we recognize what's draining our vital energy. Which activities do we just feel tired afterwards? And then, some of those might be good, like going to the gym. Over the long run, that's good for our bodies. But I'm talking about more on a mental level. And then we release those toxic inputs. And this might include addictive chemicals or even physical junk food. mindless gaming, commercials, an overdose on social media, just kind of mindless scrolling. And then we can relish in activities that make us feel energized, right? Being around loved ones, being around people that are energizing to be around, positive people, and doing things that we enjoy doing, nurturing our talents and our the parts of life that we enjoy. And then we remain doing more of those things. And we can notice how our day becomes lighter and the mind has less worries in it, it's less drained. And we also begin to increase that mental battery, the capacity, like the amount of starting energy we have, just by cultivating these positive thoughts, letting go of resentment, anger, and regret, and also through diet, and eating foods that are sustainable and healthy and natural, and through training our minds in meditation. These are all ways that you can boost energy, feel more alive throughout the day, and it's what you've already begun training right here in this course. So you should feel really good about that. Your daily challenge is to recognize where you're draining your energy and then eliminate one source, one major internal battery drain. And I'd be very curious. So let us know in the comments which it is for you if you're willing to. And I'll see you here tomorrow.